Miwel. Maybe I might have said that wrong. Cook me in the comments, as you guys always do when I enunciate things. Open Talavera. So this is, I believe, in España. So in Spain. 95 players, though, quite respectable. One of the bigger events of the weekend that we've seen. They're going for a golden ticket out them gets, so you know it was real. It seems like Chaos Demons ended up winning that one. But Manuel ended up being the number 8 ranked player, going 4-1, losing right there in the middle of the pack his third game, which is respectable. It's kind of hard right there on the end of the day one when you're like, all right, game 3. But hey, he pulled it out, kept going. So let's take a look at our gets War Horde list. And he kept it quite lean on these characters. He has a mech, 2 war bosses, and a war boss and mega armor as the warlord with Follow Me Lads. Right off the bat, a bit contentious, right? A lot of the times, if you're going to see some kind of mega boss leader, especially as you can see, he has 5 mega knobs behind him. You're like, this is War Horde. Just take gas. Just take gas. That's the first thought most people will have. As you can see, he chose for more killy stuff rather than gas as the missile. Then we have 3 units of the Breaka Boyz, followed by, and they all have the one tank hammer. Knob has a smash hammer. Then we have 2 5-man units of flash kits. Yeah, there's a flash kit unit sticking down there barely at the bottom. I promise. It was on the list intentionally. And then he has 1 big unit of Gretchen. Yep, checked him multiple times. He has 1 big unit of Gretchen. Now, at first you think that's weird. It's a typo. On the other hand, you can think it's a bait for Call the Horde. So what happens is, someone pulls Call the Horde. Oh no, you can't actually get rid of that. I can also use this 1 unit to screen my entire backfield. So it's funny because we talk about it, but yeah, we hardly ever see it being used. And it really just looks like that's what he did with it because it was on his list. And in BCP, I'm looking at it right now, the triple, quadruple check. But yeah, very fun. I love that he did that. Here's the kicker: 5 mega knobs alongside that war boss and mega armor with Follow Me Lads. Love Follow Me Lads for these kind of gets because they're slow as can be. Of course, we have kill saws and then power claws. I love the diversity of choices depending on what you're looking to punch and get stuck in with. Then we have 2 5-man units of Storm Boys because they're almost mandatory nowadays, huh? 3 Tank Buster gets. Now, one of my gets, shout out to Tony, was like, you know what? Most lists nowadays are just running 3 Tank Busters and then fill in the rest. Yeah, it's kind of funny how that's working out. In War Horde, we're getting that now combined arms aspect. Mind you can still go into infantry. They're blasts, not ideal, but it still works. Didn't pay for the shock attack gun. Surprises me. I find that shock attack gun usually does most of the heavy lifting. Yet he just went all in for 120 points just for that straight unit, though. Just a knob profile. It does have quite some appeal. Does mean it can whiff, though. Does mean it can whiff, but the enemy still has to respect that it might not. Then we have 1 battle wagon. With 3 trucks. If you're not paying for the 5 truck spam or 6 truck spam, you can go for a battle wagon in that case instead. Obviously, we love its capacity, we love its durability, we love its staging potential, we love its late game bullying, we love its midboard presence. Battle wagons are fantastic. There's contention because some people talk about how it's too easy to kill because everything's tuned for killing it in the meta right now, and to a degree that's true. But 3 trucks, construction fantastic. So with that being said, let's look at this gets path to victory because I always find that to be quite important. Shout out to our sponsors, the Baron of Dice, as they helped us do our Waaaghtaktiks dice. So shout them out. Check them out in description, 5% off in the discount because nobody likes taxes. And shout out to Baron of Dice. They allow us to do our paint competition. So thank you very much to them. Going into game 1, just 96-point win for this game 1. Our get is getting in. What's up to chat? Whoa for the chat. You guys all right there. I'll reply to your comments right here in a second. Let me get through this first get, or at least mostly through. You have the Leagues of Votann. I'm gonna say their names a little funny, so roast me. Brokhirtan Ironmaster. Einherjar champion, and then Grimnir. We have 2 Sagittars, a Thunderkin, 2 units of Berserkers, and then what are these 2 5-man? Yeah, 2 5-man units of the Hearthguard, followed by 2 Fortresses, and then 2 3 3-man Pioneers, followed by a Jaeger Brick. So Jaeger Bricks are the new infiltrators, their version of commandos for 90 points. Ooh, I wish we had some of our boys who were 90 points. They do have a reactive move as well. Super appealing. Respect to that unit. It does matter, if you have infiltrators sometime, if where you can get off on these gets, that's pretty important for the league's strategy as a whole. There are a lot of infiltrating, scouting, setting up layers, dropping down terminators behind you, them picking, certain targets and eliminating your missiles. In this case, everything is a super detrimental threat to them. Breaker Boyz chewing through them, Tankbustas chewing through them, and then when it comes to skirmish, such as Berserkers versus Flash Gits, Flash Gits have somewhat of an advantage there as well. So this would just be like a brutal just digging them out, right? Leagues of Votann, a lot of the time they just have to kill that one unit or two units. There's definitely layers to their strategy, but they're gonna grudge in your battle wagon, for example, and maybe a couple trucks or maybe one of your big unit of Breaka Boyz, and then they're gonna be like, well, here we go. If you give me all that, I can kill it. You give everything else, you stage up, they pop a couple of weapons, and you get all stuck into them. Only one unit can fall back, and you're just annihilating them. And this is what we're talking about right now on the meta. When you're going through multiple rounds at events under stress, sometimes people look at these lists and they get frustrated, and I can understand that. You're maybe a newer player or intermediate player, and you're saying, I don't want to run 3 Tankbustas and 3 Breaka Boyz. But let's be realistic here about expectations when you're going to an event. You have to play quickly, you have to play in a linear fashion, which damage sometimes is the best linear answer into a meta where people are also being really killy, and you just have to get the games done in an effective way and also score high, right? So what we see here is that he ended up getting a 96-point win in something like Leagues of Votann that could be a gatekeeper to Orcs sometimes. Yet when you really fine tune your list into full damage into something like Leagues, Armor, it's nice that you chew through them. Also keep in mind, Leagues of Votann typically has like a weird toughness for infantry. Breaker Boyz, even running into their infantry, feels good on the wall because they're getting strength 7 on that. So awesome, 96-point win. Got to be aggressive on Leagues of Votann, though. Don't play that long game with them. They love it, Begrudging. What do you think of the Gorkana on War Horde as a transport to transport the Snagaboss? I've definitely seen that. Not sure about the Snagaboss necessarily. It becomes like a very expensive one area package. Putting like Flash Kits in there seems to be usually somewhat interesting. Even like a boy unit, putting it from reserve sometimes. But yeah, I've seen it totally. It totally ends up being fun. So yeah, exactly. All the units and transport hurt the grudge and tokens. Yeah, because they're like, I just pop your transports to get disembarked, and then you just run up and beat the crap out of them because Leagues of Votann don't really kill you well outside of their tokens. So they like prolonging the game. Don't let them prolong the game. I love the mech with the War Horde list. And oh yeah, good point on there. Thank you. The mech allows you to actually use, open top potential here, right? Let's pull up that list real quick, like you were speaking about. Now, it does have a hard case, so he didn't do that for the battle wagon. But keep in mind, he could use the battle wagon to shoot stuff early. But other than that, Tankbustas, 2 units of them can go inside of a truck, and then the mech can give that truck +1 to hit. So now you're just getting what is it? 10d3 rocket shots out of the truck. So that does require kind of fun, and it does allow your Tankbustas to hit infantry on 4+. So shout out to you, Jack. I like that for saying that. Exactly. That's why we do this live, guys, so we can all take an eye on this. Yeah, and it buffs the unit, like you're saying, only buffs the model. But yeah, we're talking about truck open top. I'm assuming, don't know, but like the creativity there. And that's what happens if you don't have the SAG. The SAG making it 7 means that your alternate unit in the vehicle has to be, a 5-man. But in this case, it's like, nope, 2 6-mans. The mech sits outside. They peek the corner. He pokes him, runs up, pokes. That's funny. Or he does it to the wagon, whatever. I don't know, but that's fun. Now we go into this game 2. So next game is Scatterstar. Star Shatter. Sorry, I messed up the name. Star Shatter Necronians. So they have the Silent King, Technomancer, 5-man unit, Flayed Ones, a unit of Swarms, 2 units of Locust Destroyers, a Locust Heavy Destroyers, 2 Tomb Blades, a big brick of Wraith, Canoptic Spiders, and then 3 Doomsday with the Triac Stalker. Not sure what the mission is here. Multiple ways to approach that army. A lot of the time they do want to kind of stat check, chin check you with maybe like a Silent King or with these Wraith, but you being able to kind of focus them down like we just spoke about, where you get maybe your truck full of Tankbustas, focuses them, blast them from a nice thin line of fire. That way you don't have to overexpose the whole 10-man unit and getting killed by the Silent King and his indirect. You can actually use your truck as like a mobile bunker to gain lines of fire before you soften things up and charge them with your abundance of Breaker Boyz and, like we spoke about, your Mega Knobs, which is fun to see as well. Remember, you have Mega Knobs here. One more thing I want to point out here is that one of these Breaker Boy units doesn't have a war boss. So I really do like to see how you kind of end up using that one. Very low amount of attacks, so that has to be on the water and to really take that unit off. Nonetheless, for Scatterstar, they kind of have to stat check you in the mid table with the Silent King and Wraiths and say, "Come get me." They have a bunch of attacks from the Doomsday Arcs that's good value for like busting trucks and battle wagons, but it's gonna take multiple of them to pop the wagon. So everything else, just stage up, run into them, get stuck in. If you have to play the late game going second, you can do that too. But you can see right here, 87-point win. So great job there, Miwel. I'm not sure how you played it. Wish we had notes, but we don't. It's all good. But here we move on to game 3, where he finally takes his loss. Where it's against BRIGADE. Just made that name. I hope I didn't mess the name up. So he said Mephiston. Okay, he's happy about Mephiston. Okay, so I was trying to read that. But okay. So we have a captain, 2 captains with jetpacks, pretty respectable. Librarian and the Sanguinor. I'm gonna pull up their data sheets real quick so we can all look at them. Then we have 3 5-man units of assault intercessor jump packs. I've been seeing this more often on these Blood Angels, successful Blood Angels lists that beats Orcs. They're bringing like just more small compact units, and that does matter because usually they have big elite stuff and like jump pack 10-man bricks, and you're like, ha, fight on death, I don't trade with you. Now it's not as good as trade anymore. Plus these 2 ball predators. So these little ball predators play a similar role to something like a Land Raider Redeemer, where they walk up to a position and they're like, I do great Overwatch, it's damage 2, and I'm pretty cheap, and I don't care if you kill me. And that's what they kind of end up doing. So they do as assault too, so they can take position with that, I believe. Unit of infiltrators, so hard to deep strike on them. And then we could bring the Sanguinary God. So 2 up armor saves, only T4, 1 led by character. They're -1 to wound. And I think they're -1 to hit as well. I didn't pull up their data. I can if y'all want me to. Can be problematic sometimes for Orcs, but it's really if they just hit us first, which they can because their initiative ability with the Sanguinor helping them out. Then we have 2 units of Vindicators. So a lot of people get contention about the Vindicators. Are they good or not? I mean, they think they're good, but some people are like, I don't want to bring them. They're whiffy because they're a lot of. Nonetheless, you respect them because when they go off, they really go off. And they allow you for late game moves with those Vindicators. So it becomes a bit oppressive where you're trying to kill this stuff, trying to kill the Predators because they're thrown away early, and then the Vindicators coming up behind them. Jump pack guys staging up everywhere. The Sanguinor dropping out of space with the People's Elbow from space. So let me pull up his data sheet real quick. Boom. So first we have the Sanguinor up here if you haven't played him. Very basic little dude. T4, 2 up armor save, 4 up invuln, 7 wounds, respectable amount of wounds. 8 attacks, heading on 2, strength 6, -3, 2 damage. What's good and interesting about him is once per battle at your end of your opponent's charge phase, if this model is still in reserve, you can select 1 enemy unit that made a charge in this movement phase, set that model up on the battlefield within engagement range. So he just kind of teleports instant transmissions into combat with you face first. Cowabunga. So yeah, me keep that in mind so he could run and help Sanguinary Guard. And get some punches in. I don't think he has the ability where he like just can eat the damage anymore. But keep in mind, we're looking at this data sheet. Sorry, the detachment Liberator Assault Group works really well into Orcs. We did a video a long time ago about like factions that Orcs don't like to play against in like a tier list. Didn't do that great, but it was when this detachment first came out, and I mentioned, hey, Blood Angels aren't that great into Orcs, but this detachment is good into Orcs because it can get up to strength 6 and you still retain Lance with a lot of T5. We like to ride that T5 and either the volume. Blood Angels have direct answers to that, which ends up hurting them a lot of the times when they end up playing into Blood Angels with getting like traded out. They used to bring a lot of 10-man units. Now they don't. Right now they don't. They have these stupid ball predators, 135 points, and then even just basic Sanguinary Guard, 130 points. You know, that's good little decent trade for them. They can get up on you. So we've seen this a couple times. I guess we're gonna have to, check on Happy Crumper and see what's going on with the Blood Angels, huh? Because they've been overcoming a couple good Orc lists with these like kind of more mass amount of units, which I think is a good pivot for them. So Orc players be aware of that. He ended up losing that one. Still a good game though. But a lot of things we can learn from that one when we're talking about the Breaka Boyz and such. I think someone had an interesting question on this. He said, a lot of bombs, quigs, both turn 1. I don't think that's how that works, but that's weird. Okay. Yeah. So what do the Breaka Boyz really do in their strength and War Horde that they fulfill that's not filled by other units? It's the point cost that they're at the amount of damage they do. Really stacks up with just volume of threat saturation. So like as we're looking at Manuel's list here, He has 3 Breaker Boys and 3 Tankbusters plus a Mega Knob unit. That's 7 very lethal units that are in small compound packages that are walking around that are being put inside of transports, and then you have just other stuff around the field as well. So Breaker Boys do just more damage into what's currently meta, currently vehicles and armor. Theoretically, on paper, often they do the work. They do the work, especially on the wall. In War Horde, though, it's not what they bring to War Horde, is what War Horde brings to them. Their real lack of attack means that they need the War Horde sustain at like all times. They would love the critical 5+ ability, getting off on that. So it matters a lot for them. Now, if you really didn't feel like running War Horde, you can argue Bully Boys. I've done it before with 2 units. It means you can just activate one on the wall, let it go off, not really have to deal with being killed, and then next wall you do it again. But the point is, it's about what War Horde brings to Breaker Boys, and what it brings is more attacks, more hits. And it pushes them up for the more assured outcome, right? Because they have a really low volume attacks, which means they can whiff. So, and for what the points they are and the damage they do to what's prevalent in the meta right now, pushes them a little above knobs in a lot of cases. But like you said here, we have 7 threats on the table that are punching out vehicles, monsters, elite infantry, whatever it may be. It gets overwhelming for enemies with choices, unless they have the ability to get to everything effectively. So we have game 5 or 4, 5, 4, 4, 4 guys. I'm counting correctly. Okay, chat. Yeah, exactly. Found someone a 5+. Also cheaper than Breaka Boys and the Snagga Boys and the Beast Boss. Yeah, if they don't have the War Boss. Okay, so we have the Necrons game 4. Again, we have more Necrons on the table. Necrons are like one of the most popular factions in the game. But if you're not familiar with them, if you don't like get to know them, get reps into them, get familiar with them, because you got to beat the crap out of them. So we have the Necron, the Nightbringer. Necron the Nightbringer, the Votann the Nightbringer, the Silent King, Technomancer, Flayed Ones, Scorpec Destroyer, 2 individual destroyers, Locust Destroyers, a 2-man unit of heavy Locust Destroyers, 2 units of Tomb Blades, a big old fat unit of Wraith Spiders, and then 2 Doomsday Arcs. So he's brought a little bit more stuff. All these destroyers are more for just like scoring. Scorpec Destroyers are for having some skirmish for 90 points. Doesn't look like they have a character at all. And again, it's all about, he wants to check you with this Wraith unit. He wants to check you with the Wraith unit and the Technomancer. They get a Feel No Pain. They get to regen guys. Which detachment? Oh yeah, there's Scatterstar. Yes or no? Yeah. If this was what's the one that gives them the characters +1 to hit? I'm having a brain fart. They get to regen more often, but in this case they don't. So that means you do have the output when you're dealing with this many Breaker Boys and Tankbusters to actually run through them. They do have only one way to deal with the battle wagon in this case, which is the Silent King himself, which means you do have a chance to pace it. The Nightbringer is quite respectable. He's a small, little annoying base, but not a bunch of OC. You usually deal with them a lot of bodies. That'd be something that maybe the 22 Gretchen end up charging into at some point. That could be a big difference. And just the ability that you can kill the Silent King makes the Necron players play a lot differently. It's why they sometimes get automatically just destroyed by Marine players, for example, because they can just, oops, I lost the Silent King early. Game's being thrown at its head. Oh, they're focusing down my big unit of Wraiths, and I can't really do anything about that. I'm hoping things survive. And, Scatter Arsenal wants to do a ton of damage. It's like, what are you doing a ton of damage to? The trucks, the battle wagons, and the stuff gets out and you kill a Breaker Boy unit that doesn't have a war boss. Oh, well. Everything else is crumping you and kind of pushing you back into your backfield. So really important there. Is there a reanimator? No. I don't think I see a reanimator out here. Is there? No. No. I've seen it. The 2 Doomsday Arc. Okay, cool. He does have like bikes and stuff to help him score, but 80-point win there on that one. Oops, I go back. Here we go. All right, and then his last one. So great job by there, Manuel, by the way. Necrons again. Yeah, this is a different list, as you can see. So my boy had to play 3 Necrons of this event, even while winning. You just had to get through them. Whether you're winning or losing, they're one of those popular factions in the game. Shout out to Wicked Joe for 10 Waaaghtaktiks memberships. Whoa, Wicked Joe. Shout out to that Gip. Always hooking us up, always supporting the channel. Thanks a lot. It means a lot. It's very generous of you. And shout out to you and your great wall that you've been having going on. And shout out to you at LVO and such. So thank you very much, Wicked Joe, and shout out to the members. It means a lot to everybody that's supporting and what we're bringing forward. I promise you we're working on it. So with that being said, check out Wicked Joe. War Boss is in chat for Wicked Joe. And let's look at this last list because Wicked, I know you've seen a lot of Necrons. We have 2 Technomancers, a Silent King, which wait, same scatter, star scatter. Woo, arsenal. 1 unit of spiders, followed by 2 units of wraith. Okay, we're not getting spicy. 3 Doomsday Arcs, 2 flayed ones, and then 2 Doomsday Arcs. So as we spoke about, there's 7 threat saturations on the orc list. As you can see, 3 Doomsday Arcs, 2 wraiths, and then a Silent King. So they're bringing about 5 to 6 threatening, imposing units. Orcs bring just a little bit more. And then they also have all the transports, so they hopefully get the initiative on you, and you don't get to crack our durable stuff, right? So it's fun. You can kind of weaken these wraith units. You can threaten the Doomsday Arcs. You can threaten, people do have luck, not me, but do have luck popping these Doomsday Arcs with the unit Tankbuster boys, even without a SAG. The fact that even can happen means that they have to play different, which means you occupy table space, you get to move up the table aggressively. And mind you, you have the War Boss and Mega Armor with Follow Me Lads. This takes enough attention as well from the Necrons that once you get stuck in on the wall to hold them in position, these guys also can't fall back and shoot or charge or anything. So really just getting stuck and get your hands on them means a lot. So having the dirt damage from the Breaka Boyz and the Bustas just means that they have to play defensively, and you just take table space, and then you just stuff all the boys down their throat, get all the green tide on there on the end zone, start touching everything. Trukks, boom, scoring they're killing their scoring units. Don't let them get out of their deployment zone. It means a lot. And my boy Miwel did that all throughout the event because he kept crumping Necrons for an 80.9 point win right there, ending up in 8th place overall at the Open Talavera 2025. So Mike gets War Horde list, mech, double War Boss, and Mega Armor, Follow Me Lads. I assume the mech was giving, +1 to the trucks for open top, or maybe the battle wagon +1 to hit, so I can shoot with its small arms and such. It was art case, so he wasn't shooting out of the battle wagon. Maybe helping him with some secondaries. Really low on characters is something I want to point out here that I appreciate because just like any other orc player, sometimes I fall a victim to I want too many characters. Being able to run a Breaker Boy unit and then all the tank bosses without character support, very interesting. Made him have more threat saturation and more stuff on the field. Big board presence, screening his entire backfield, throwing all these points forward. I love to see it. Triple breakers, 2 5-man flash kits for some SWAT teams, a big unit of Mega Knobs with Follow Me Lads, possible here we go target here, possible reserves, and then coming in off the table, possibly ingress just makes them super fast. It'd be freaking hilarious. 3 negative Tankbuster units, a battle wagon, and then 3 trucks. So I really like this list. Very much appreciate it. Shout out to my boy Manuel. Be a cunning get and check out our new order markers that are in our store. So shout out to you, Gets Being Cunning. Help you guys get all the orders set on the table, nice and clean for all you get to get stuck in. If you enjoyed the clip, check out the full video here. If you'd like to see more tactics, click here.
Let's get stuck in, lads!